Our vast and beautiful blue planet is a complex balance of life and death, predator and prey, friend and foe. The study of home, our home, the planet Earth, is literally translated as ecology. In 1866, the German scientist Ernst Haeckel coined the term ecology, and it quickly became a discipline in the late 19th century. Evolutionary concepts such as adaptation and natural selections underpin modern ecological theories. Eugene Odin, dubbed the father of ecology, proposed that all new biology major take his ecology class. His co-workers chuckled as they looked at him. That's how he came to be known as the father of modern ecology. In a broader sense, ecology is a study of organisms' interaction with one another and with their physical surroundings. It answers the question like how do living things interact with one another. So business and ecology have their certain connection because their relationship is a contest, give and take. It just simply refers to the network of organization involved in the distribution of a specific commodity through cooperation and competition.
Business environment is the collection of all internal and external factors, such as employees, customer needs and expectations, supply and demand, management clients, suppliers, owners, activities by the government, social trends, market trends, and economic changes. These factors affect the function of the company and how company works, directly or indirectly. This also influences the company's or business organization environment and situation. It helps identifying business opportunities, tapping useful resources, assists in planning, and improves the overall performance, growth, and profitability of the business. There are various types of business environment like microenvironment and macroenvironment. Some of the importance of the business environment are enable us to identify business opportunities, helps in tapping useful resources, coping with change, especially with how fast the world moves, and create more and more trends that businesses need to meet. And lastly, this also assists in planning in different projects, steps to improve the ventures more.
Now, let us discuss the business traditional attitudes toward the environment. But before that, I will give some idea on how businesses affect our environment. Business affects the environment through the extraction and utilization of environmental resources and through pollution that is released through these processes. Oil drilling has the potential for massive spills into the ocean. Lots of businesses use vehicles which usually use engines where emission from which also release greenhouse gases, and cutting down the trees to be able to produce paper. These several related attitudes prevalent in our society in general and in business in particular have led to or increased our environmental problems. One of these is the tendency to view the natural world as free and unlimited good. Traditionally, business has considered the environment to be a free, virtually limitless good. In other words, natural resources were seen as available for business to use as it saw fit. In this context, pollution and depletion of natural resources are two aspects of the same problem. Both involve using up natural resources that are limited. The belief that both sorts of resources are unlimited and free promotes wasteful consumption of them. Business people for a long time believed that the world is free and unlimited. Because of this paradigm, businessmen found a justification to exploit and abuse the earth without regard for the next generation.
Tragedy of the common refers to an economic and environmental situation where individuals have access to shared resources and act with their own interests, which may lead to overconsumption and depleting the resources. This simply implies the act of a person or a certain venture to acquire resources neglecting the well-being of a society just to get personal gains. In short, money. Examples of it are overfishing, traffic congestion, illegal logging to produce high-quality wooden products, and many more. It is the reverse of Adam Smith's invisible hand, where he believes that social and economic outcomes may arise by the self-interested actions of individuals. Spillover effect typically arises from a single source and its impact leads to others, experiencing negative or positive social and economic interference. It is when a business often derives a profit from a product without considering the overall social cost or the production process may affect the environment and society. We can example the COVID-19 pandemic. It is a single event arising from Wuhan, China, and it spread into the whole world, which affects the lives of many people and businesses.
The term ethics is derived from the keyword ethos, which originally meant custom or character. Ethics is a branch of philosophy that studies the rightness of human actions. It determines what is morally good or bad, just or unjust, and studies the rational satisfaction for our moral judgments. On the other hand, what exactly is a free rider, and why is it a problem? In economics, a free rider is someone or something that obtains a benefit, but does not pay for it. What causes this to happen? When it comes to public goods, the free rider problem is very widespread. People cannot be prohibited from enjoying public goods, and one person's capacity to utilize them does not reduce another's. Consider the military as an example. National security is a public good. It is non-excludable and non-rigorous. Citizens must pay taxes in order to obtain goods and services, and these taxes are used by the government to fund the military. However, some people refuse to pay for this and avoid doing so. As a result, these people have not contributed to the expense of maintaining a military, yet they still benefit from military's protection. These individuals referred to as free riders. If the number of free riders rises, there may be insufficient quality service offered, leading to market failure. Tax laws and conscience are two possible answers to a free rider problem. The government should impose taxation in order to ensure that everyone who benefits from it pays their fair share. And lastly, if we have a conscience, we will be able to prevent such problems.
Ecological economics is a diverse discipline defined by a series of specific difficulties related to managing economic activity in a way that enhances human well-being, sustainability, and responsibility. It covers quick policy and local issues to long-term of goals sustainable. One example is the wetlands that play an essential part in our natural environment. They shield our coastlines from moving water, mitigate flood damage, and improve water quality. They provide habitat for animals and plants and diverse range of life, including animals found in forests. Because of the ability to lower flow rate and wave turbulence, coral reefs are being considered as a natural storm flood defenses. It also collects from sea levels and local seismic activity. They are also unique productive economics where habitat and aquatic habitats collide. Wetlands are vital to numerous natural cycles and feeding a diverse spectrum of life. They act as a natural absorber, protecting our climate change.
Environmental ethics, it is understanding human responsibilities with regards to the natural environment. Environmental ethics is the best described as a study of the moral relationship of humans to the environment and the environment's living organism. Branch of applied philosophy that studies the conceptual foundation of environmental values as well as more concrete issues surrounding societal attitudes, actions, and policies to protect and sustain biodiversity and ecological systems. This is a very important component to a business because companies that provide goods and services are responsible for protecting our natural resources. Our environment plays an important role by providing sustaining life and waste management. The practical purpose of environmental ethics is to maintain and to provide moral grounds for social policies aimed to protecting the Earth's environments and remedying environmental degradation. As per the issues happening nowadays, there are a lot of ventures, both small and large scales, one that fail to do and meet the certain principles just to meet their personal gains and goals, such as business in line with infrastructure that cut trees and perform deforestation to build real estate buildings, publishing companies that wanted non-recycled papers, cutting trees and illegally doing it on purpose. These are some of examples of the things that we do despite the negativity and the weight it will put much on the environment.
Probably one of the environmental damages we do nowadays is pollution. The existence of a material or entity that has hazardous or dangerous effects in the environment or its introduction into the environment. This could take any of our natural resources as well through bodies of water, the air, our ground, and the fight sometimes it is becoming more visible as time passes by. Yet this can be prevented in many ways. Let's have an example. Some of the big ventures we can found nowadays, especially in the business of infrastructure and real estate, they do not just harm the environment by cutting trees or putting such drastic change in a once fresh land. Some spilled polluted water in bodies of water coming from the hotels and buildings they were creating. Resource depletion is never a far subject to this. It's the consumption of a resource faster than it can be replenished. Commonly associated with water usage, fossil fuel consumption, trees, and fishing. All of these resources have been depleted primarily because of human activities. May be different in terms and meaning, but this would only lead to same different things, damages, and death.
What is the ethics principle and why is it important? Many will probably guess that this is just a minor thing that we shouldn't be focusing on, but this ethics is a way for us to reciprocate the things that we have been taking on the environment. This is a great ground-based principle on how we could manage our natural resources because we need to make sure that we are doing our part to keep our environment safe and protected and not just take and take. Every company has a responsibility in our environment. Social responsibility encourages every employee to take care of our natural resources and to do what's good for the whole society. Being a responsible company can create a good image and impact, thus following this responsibility will deliver not just fortune but also a sense of gratefulness as an employee or a boss in the firm. Corporate social responsibilities apply to the business because it helps make a good image to their company and to society. It improves the relationship of the venture to the community. They show it by donation, charities, improving labor policies, investing an environmentally conscious business, and many more.
Valdez Principle, or also called the Series Principle, shortened name for the Coalition for Environmentally Responsible Economies, are a set of guidelines focusing on regulating and monitoring the conduct of corporations with the problems related to the environment. This is important because it focuses on protecting our natural resources in terms of the unfair usage of some of the biggest ventures found nowadays. There are 10 principles stated inside this and are now flashed on the screen. One of the issues regarding this is Exxon Valdez, the 987-foot tanker found last March 24, 1989 on Port Valdez, Alaska. The oil spill spread 38,000 metric tons of oil on the shorelines of Prince William Sound and the Kenai Peninsula. This incident killed animals found in the area, raising death cases up to 253,372. May this be a reminder that us, humans, are just visitors on this earth, and for us to strive for betterment, it is not ventures that we needed, but a good relationship between us and our environment.